Your best employee just became your worst manager. And the shocking part is, you put them there. It's not that you made a poor choice, but you may have made that decision using the wrong criteria. And this very error, is silently eating up leadership pipeline in businesses of all sizes, industries, and geographies. I refer it as the performance trap. And in the following 12 minutes, I will deconstruct precisely what it is, why it continues to occur, and what you should do differently. Whether you are developing a leadership pipeline or you are the high performer who just got his or her first task of leading a team. Be with me, as this one will change the way you look at leadership forever. Before we go deep, a quick word on why I am talking about this. I've worked years with businesses, with founders, senior managers, operators to assist them in building teams, designing systems, and growing their organizations. And the one most predictable pattern I have observed in startups, in mid sized firms, and in large corporations is not marketing issue or an operations issue. Particularly, it is a promotion issue. I've watched brilliant individual contributors crumble under the weight of leading others. I have seen technically gifted department heads lose their best people within 12 months. I worked with founders who could sell anything but couldn't hold a team together long enough to deliver it. And every single time, the root cause was the same. So let's get into it. We promote people based on what they have done instead of who they are becoming. And those two are two completely different things. Here's how it plays out in the real world. The top salesperson hits their numbers every quarter, so we make them the sales manager. The most technically skilled engineer solves every problem, so we make them the tech lead. The founder who can close every deal becomes the CEO by default. And on the surface, that logic makes sense, right? They are the best at what they do. They've earned it, they deserve the opportunity. But here's what that logic completely misses: the skills that create individual excellence are fundamentally different from the skills that create collective leadership. In fact, in many cases, they are in direct tension with each other. Think about it. An exceptional individual contributor is often driven by personal standards. They know exactly how they want things done. They move fast, they trust their own judgment above everyone else's because that's what made them great. Now put that same person in charge of 8 people who don't think, move, or work the way they do. Suddenly, their precision becomes rigidity. Their high standards become micromanagement. Their speed becomes impatience. Self reliance becomes an inability to delegate. The very traits that made them exceptional are now working against them. And here's what makes this a trap: nobody told them that this was coming. Nobody prepared them for it. They were handed a team as a reward for their performance, not as a result of their readiness. That's the performance trap. And it doesn't just hurt the individual, it damages the team, slows the business, and breaks the trust of the people they are now supposed to lead. So, if results are in the right criteria for leadership readiness, what is? I want to give you a simple framework I use when I'm assessing whether someone is genuinely ready to lead. I call it the 3S Leadership Readiness Test. And what it comprises of is self knowledge, self regulation, and service orientation. Let me break each one of them down for you. Self knowledge is the ability to understand your own patterns, your triggers, your blind spots, your defaults under pressure. A leader who doesn't know themselves will project their unresolved tendencies onto their team every single time. Ask yourself or the person you are considering promoting, can they accurately describe how they behave when things go wrong? Not how they want to behave, how they actually behave. That gap between intention and reality is where leadership breaks down. Self regulation is the ability to manage your emotional state so your team doesn't have to manage it for you. This is massive and massively underrated. I worked with a founder once, brilliant operator, sharp thinker, genuinely visionary. But every time a project hit a problem, and projects always hit problems, his anxiety filled the room. His team stopped bringing him bad news. They started managing his emotions instead of solving real problems. The business slowed down not because of strategy, but because of one person's unregulated emotional state. Your team will always mirror your energy. Always. If you are reactive, they'll be anxious. If you are steady, they'll be resourceful. Service orientation is the shift from I need to perform to I need to develop performance in others. This is the hardest transition for high performers because it feels like stepping backwards. You are no longer the one doing the impressive thing. You are the one making other people capable of doing impressive things. The best leaders I've ever worked with measure their success not by what they personally achieved, but by how many people they meet better. That's the 3S Leadership Readiness Test: self knowledge, self regulation, and service orientation. Before you promote anyone into a leadership role, ask how they score on all three. Results are the entry ticket. These three are the real criteria. Now, let's talk about what to actually do about this. Whether you are building a leadership pipeline or you are the person who've just been promoted into one. If you're building a leadership pipeline, here are three immediate shifts that need to happen. Separate the performance review from the leadership readiness conversation. These are not the same assessment. They should never be the same meeting. Performance reviews measure what someone has delivered, and leadership readiness conversations explore how they delivered it, how they handled setbacks, how they treated people under pressure, how they responded when they were wrong. One looks at output, the other looks at character. You need both, and you need them separately. The next shift: build leadership development before the promotion, not after. Most companies do it backwards. They promote someone, then they enroll them in a leadership program 6 months later when the damage is already done. Start identifying potential leaders 12 to 18 months before the promotion. Give them small leadership assignments. Lead this project. Manage this junior hire. Own this cross functional initiative. Watch how they behave when they have responsibility without full authority. That's your real data. Create a language around the transition. One of the most powerful things you can do for a newly promoted leader is name what's happening to them. Tell them the skills that got you here are not the same skills that will make you great at the next level. That's not a problem, that's just the reality of the transition. And here's what we are going to develop together. That one conversation, that naming of the gap, reduces the shame, the confusion, and the imposter syndrome that quietly destroys new leaders in their first 90 days. Now, if you are the high performer, you just stepped into leading others, here's what I want you to hear. The discomfort you're feeling right now is not a sign that you are wrong for this role. It's a sign that you are in the transition. The fact that it feels harder than your individual role, that's correct. It's harder, but it is a different kind of hard. And the skills you need now: self awareness, patience, the ability to develop others. These are learnable skills. The one thing that I'd ask you to do this week: write down 3 moments from the past 30 days where your reaction to a situation may have affected your team negatively. Not to judge yourself, just to see yourself more clearly. That single act of honest self reflection is the beginning of real leadership. Because leadership doesn't start with strategy, it starts with self knowledge. Let me bring this all together. The performance trap is the single most consistent pattern I see inside broken leadership pipelines. We promote based on results when we should be assessing readiness. We reward individual excellence without developing the collective skills that leadership actually requires. And then we act surprised when our best people become our most struggling managers. The fix isn't complicated, but it requires intention. Separate your performance reviews from your leadership readiness conversations. Develop leaders before the promotion and not after. And if you are in the transition right now, start with self knowledge. That's where all real leadership begins. If this video gave you a new way to think about leadership, I'd love for you to subscribe. Every week, I will be putting out content designed to help founders, managers, and business owners lead better, build stronger teams, and grow with real intention. And I want to hear from you in the comments. If you've made the transition from high performer to leader, what got you off guard the most? Or if you are building the leadership pipeline, how are you currently assessing readiness beyond results? Drop it below. I read every comment and I'll be in there responding. I'll see you in the next one.